Shortly after the Till murder, these two brothers, J.W. Milo on the left and Roy Bryant on the right, was arrested for the murder of Emmett Till. The white people got together in that town, and they got all the money they could muster up to help with their defense fund. The black people were scared to talk. They was very afraid to talk.
About the Emmett Till case at that particular time because they knew that it could happen to them. The blacks feared for their lives and for their family's lives because those white folks were for real. So
reporters nationwide who attended the trial had their own agendas. And that was to question whoever they could about the murder. They came across a name, Willie Reed.
2 days into the trial, reporters got a lead on a young sharecropper named Willie Reed, who might be willing to talk.
I was in the cotton field, and I was picking cotton. And I looked across the field, and there was about 7 or 8 people coming across the field toward me. It was white and black coming that way. And then they began to question me about this here. Did you see anything? So I told them what I saw.
Putting his life at risk, Willie Reed agreed to step forward.
When you walk in that courtroom, and you're going to testify. Then you look at all these white folks and everybody looking at you. They got their frowns on their face and everything.
Willie Reed testified that he was walking alongside the road when he walked past the shed where the beating took place. And he heard screams. Then he heard other people yelling. And he said he could hear the beating from outside. He could hear it. And J.W. Milan walked outside and seen him and told him he better keep his mouth shut if he know what's good for him. And that's what this man testified. Not only did he testify, but so did Moses Wright, Emmett Till's uncle. He testified how they came into his house and had the whole house under siege. He terrified the whole house until they dragged Emmett out the house. In the courtroom, Moses Wright had the bravery to point out to J.W. Milo and Roy Bryant as the two men who stormed into his house and took a young Emmett Till out their house. And they took him out of town right after the investigation started and brought him back for the trial. And after he testified, he had left all the cotton that he had. He left his car, he left his house, and he boarded the train and went back to Chicago. In other words, he got the hell out of there. Because he said during the trial, when he looked in those white people's faces, he could see their blood boiling. He could see it boiling. Yes, he did. Immediately fled back to Chicago. Now, the verdict is here. Mamie Till, Emmett's mother, has to now face the jury. She had to listen to the defense attorney tell the jurors their ancestors will turn over in their graves if these two men was found guilty. This is what this woman had to actually go through.
Every last Anglo-Saxon one of you, he said, has the courage to free these men.
As the jury retired, the black people who were standing around the walls began to ease out of the door. I said, it's time for us to go. Congressman Diggs said, what? And missed the verdict? I said, Congressman, this is one verdict you don't want to be present to hear.
The crowd in the courtroom waited in the heat. Reporters overheard members of the jury laughing and joking in the jury room. In just over an hour, the jury returned.
In the Emmett Till murder trial, the all-white jury has acquitted the two white defendants accused of killing the 14-year-old Negro youth. The jury foreman said the deciding factor was the state's failure to prove the identity of the body pulled from a river near Sumner, Mississippi.
They was acquitted based on the account that they could not identify the body pulled from the Mississippi River. During the trial, the lawyer for the two men asked Mrs. Till, is that really your son? Isn't he in Detroit with his grandfather? That's what this lady had to endure.
After the trial, Sheriff Clarence Strider told reporters, I hope the Chicago niggas and the NAACP are satisfied.
"4 months after these two men was acquitted for the murder of young Emmett Till, they was allowed to sell their story and share their story with a magazine for $4,000. And there was also promised that if they tell the story, they wouldn't be arrested. The killing somewhat became approved. Let's listen.
Protected from further prosecution, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam sold their story to a reporter from Look magazine for $4,000. Their account appeared just 4 months after the acquittal.
We took them and we was just going to whip them, scare some sense into them. Back of the house is a tool shed. 2 rooms about 12 feet square. Walked them in there and took turns smashing them across the head with the 45. First my brother, then me. We put them back in the truck. We knew what we was going to do. Here's a spot about 1.5 miles from the bridge where the banks are steep. It was just a spot. I held up the gun. I fired, and the Chicago boy twisted around and caught it right in the ear. We tied the gin fan to his neck with barbed wire and rolled his body into 20 feet of muddy water. 3 hours that morning, we had a big old fire in the yard. Damn, if that nigger didn't have crepe sole shoes. You know how hard they are to burn?
If there was more people involved in this murder, the two brothers did not admit to who they were. My heart goes out to Emmett Till. May you rest in peace. This closes the chapter. I'm going to have a prelude to this about the civil rights and everything like that. I'm going to show the landmarks in Mississippi about this young man. But the 3-part series of Emmett Till comes to a close. May God bless him. Again, I'm going to show certain landmarks and what's coming up next after this. Hit that subscribe button, and I want y'all to tune in. And I want everybody to have an educated mind. Because before we fight each other, the people before us had the real fights. Fights for their lives. Not fighting for your name or for hood supremacy. They had to fight for their lives or run like hell. People like Emmett Till died and sparked the civil rights movement for people like us to live normal lives. Remember that. The North Father is out. Rest in peace, Emmett. I love you, man. His mother died January 6, 2003 at the age of 81. Mamie Till. God bless you, Ma. I love you. The North Father's out. Peace.